aid, my mother passed out. She seemed to be in discomfort when I picked up the phone on my day off. I heard Hannah, the daughter of my senior coworker Sarah, crying. "Wait a minute, I'm on my way now," I said. I hurried as quickly as I could to Sarah's place. I walked over and called out to her, but she didn't answer. I called for an ambulance because I could take it no more. "Everything will work out soon. We'll be in the hospital." Hannah's little, shaking hand felt chilly in my own. "I'm Chris, and I'm 31 years old. I'm a salesperson for Rivertech Industrial Parts, a business that sells parts for machinery. I've always been seen as a serious person who never backs down from a challenge. However, the truth is that as a salesperson, I haven't been successful in closing any significant deals. I sometimes get discouraged and question whether hard work is sufficient on its own. But I don't give up, and I keep going. Sarah, my senior colleague, is a major contributor to it. She is only 2 years older than me at 33. Clients have a great deal of faith in Sarah since she is a composed and accomplished salesperson. I developed a great deal of respect and admiration for her after witnessing her in action, using a variety of strategies and managing clients with poise. I've grown to cherish the time I get to talk to Sarah during breaks. She manages even the most challenging clients with ease and maintains her composure. She's an incredible mentor. Before I realized it, my feelings for Sarah had progressed beyond simple admiration. However, because she is married, I can only look up to her from a distance. My feelings would never be returned, even if they were to develop further. Just being by her side, even if it's just at work, is sufficient for me. At the absolute least, though, I want to get better at my job and catch up to her. I've been putting a lot of effort into improving myself. I don't mind staying up late, actively trying to increase sales, and constantly trying to improve. Sarah grinned and remarked, "Chris, you've been working really hard lately." After noticing my effort, she added, "You should teach me." "No, Sarah, I should be the one learning from you. I'm inspired by the work you do," I replied. "I'm grateful. Making sure our clients appreciate working with us, it is what I constantly try to concentrate on. They will want to return to us if they do. I see, if you keep that in mind, I believe you can win over any client." I was always amazed by her tremendous sense of purpose in her job. Knowing someone like her made me feel proud. "Chris, with all this overtime, don't you have trouble finding time to go on dates?" Sarah asked me one day. "That is not a concern for you. I don't have a romantic partner," I replied. "Oh, I see," she said, somewhat uncomfortable. I went on, "Well, I'm pretty much just a boring guy who is only good at being serious. It is really vital to be serious. It also manifests in the way you approach your work. Someone will value your seriousness one day." "You think so?" Sarah asked. "Yeah, if you ask me, being serious is the best quality in a husband." I didn't fully comprehend Sarah's statement that the best quality was being serious until much later. Sarah and I eventually began discussing personal matters. I even thought we were getting closer as our chats became more personal. "Sarah, you're married, so it must be tough juggling work and everything else, right?" "Chris, I'm a single mother," Sarah said. I was surprised. I always thought Sarah was content with her marriage. However, learning that she had gone through a divorce, nevertheless, she continued working as usual in spite of everything. I was unable to recognize the extent of Sarah's struggles because of this. I was embarrassed that I hadn't realized the feelings I had been suppressing appeared to suddenly explode all at once. Sarah said to me, "Hannah is the name of my daughter. She is now 9 years old. She is incredibly intelligent for her age. Even though I am her mother, her grin alone gives me the strength to face each day. I am able to continue moving forward because of Hannah." Her face, radiating the strength and tenderness of a mother, looks so beautiful. I found myself even more captivated by Sarah. That's why I was so determined to succeed at work and produce results as quickly as possible. I actively emulated Sarah's methods, absorbing every bit of sales knowledge. I started to think that once I achieved some real success, I'd finally be able to confess my feelings to her. My feelings grew stronger each day, swelling more and more. It got to the point where I could barely handle them myself. One day, with a slightly clouded expression, Sarah confided in me, "I only got divorced recently. It's tough being a single mom." Although Sarah clearly had personal struggles, she never let them show at work. She never mixed her personal life with her job. Despite the difficulty she was facing, she kept giving her all. I found myself wondering if I should step further into her personal life. Then, one day, Sarah handed me a book. "Chris, you should read this. It really helped me with my sales, and I'm sure you'll find it useful too." With that, she passed me the book. "Thank you. I'll borrow it," I said. That night, I stayed up reading it. I read it over and over, determined to make sure I fully understood it, vowing to apply it to my work just as Sarah had. The techniques in the book were invaluable for my future in sales. I immediately put them into practice without hesitation. As a result, I started to see my efforts pay off. My performance gradually improved, my relationships with clients improved, and my sales numbers began to rise. One day, I decided to return the book to Sarah at her home. I called her and said, "Thank you so much for the book the other day. Thanks to you, my sales numbers are going up. I'd like to return the book now." "You can just bring it to the office," she said. But I couldn't let it go. I bought a cake from a newly opened shop that had great reviews and headed to her house. Sarah's house wasn't too far from my apartment. It was about a 15-minute walk. As I walked, lost in thought, I soon arrived at her home. I felt a bit nervous, but I took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. Finally, I pressed the doorbell. "Yes, who is it?" A sweet, cheerful voice answered. It was Hannah, Sarah's daughter, answering in her place. "I'm Chris from Sarah's office," I said. "Mom, it's Chris." "Thank you, Hannah," I heard Sarah say through the door, and I couldn't help but smile. A moment later, the door opened. "Chris, thank you for going out of your way," Sarah said, welcoming me with a smile. Hannah peered out from behind her, looking just like her mom. "Nice to meet you, Hannah. I'm Chris. Thank you for always taking care of my mom. I can see why Sarah says you're so smart, even though you're only 9. I thought she's such a confident and articulate kid." "I'm the one who's grateful for all the help," Sarah said. When I said that, Hannah looked at Sarah and tilted her head with a smile, as if to say, "I told you so." The other day she lent me a book. I said, "Sarah, please enjoy this with Hannah," I said, handing a box of cake to Sarah. "Thank you. This is from that new cake shop, right?" "Yes," I replied. "Hannah and I were just saying we wanted to try it sometime." "Great. Thanks so much, Chris," Sarah said. I watched the two of them with a smile. I suddenly wondered if Hannah's first impression of me was okay. But when I saw Hannah waving and saying, "Bye, Chris. Take good care of my mom. Okay," I felt relieved. "Bye, Hannah," I said. I could feel the distance between Sarah and me getting closer, and it made my heart race. Talking to Sarah after work and our chats during breaks were becoming something I really looked forward to. "Chris, that cake was so good. Hannah loved it and told me to thank you." I'm so glad she enjoyed it. She looked so happy. I wish you could have seen her cheeks practically bursting with joy. Seeing Sarah's happy face made me feel happy too. "Let's keep doing our best together," she said with a smile. I found myself even more drawn to Sarah, feeling my feelings for her growing stronger by the day. But I could tell that she was struggling to balance work and family. I was starting to really want to support Sarah, a single mom, with all my heart. Every time I saw that tired smile of hers, it looked like she was holding back tears. Each time I thought, "Sarah, you don't have to push yourself so hard. It's okay to cry when things are tough. Cry if it helps you smile again tomorrow." These feelings were always locked inside my heart, but I genuinely wanted to protect that smile of hers. At the same time, I felt a strong desire to support not just her work, but her life too. One weekend, I got a call from Sarah. Sarah's calling me on her day off. I wondered what was going on. Feeling confused, I quickly answered the phone. "Hello, it's Chris." "Help! Mom collapsed. She looks like she's in pain." It was her daughter, Hannah, on the phone, and I could hear her sobbing on the other end. "Hannah, wait. I'm coming right now." I rushed to Sarah's house, grabbing only my wallet and phone. After ringing the doorbell, a tearful Hannah opened the door. "Chris, my mom is, she stammered. I rushed inside and found Sarah unconscious. Sarah. I called her name, but she was unresponsive. Thankfully, she was still breathing. I immediately called for an ambulance and did my best to help by placing her in a recovery position. Before long, the ambulance arrived and I got in with Hannah. Her face was filled with worry. No matter how mature she seemed, she was still just 9 years old. Her only parent had collapsed, and she must have been terrified and overwhelmed with fear. I gently held her hand and said, "Hannah, it's going to be okay. We're almost at the hospital." Her small hand was cold and trembling. Once Sarah was taken to the hospital, her condition stabilized, and it turned out not to be too serious. "Hannah, your mom's going to be okay." "Isn't that great?" I said, relieved. "Yeah," Hannah said. She had stopped crying. I sat with her in the hospital room, watching over Sarah as she rested. The whole time, Hannah never let go of my hand. "Where am I?" Sarah woke up, looking around in confusion. "You're in the hospital. You collapsed at home. Hannah called me, and I came over and called an ambulance." "Hannah did," Sarah said. "Mom collapsed, so I used your phone to call Chris. I'm so glad you're awake, Mom." "Hannah, you're so brave." "Thank you, and I'm sorry for worrying you," Sarah said, stroking Hannah's head, her eyes filled with tears. Then, turning to me, she said in a trembling voice, "Thank you, Chris." The doctor said it was caused by exhaustion and stress. Sarah continued, "What happened? If you're comfortable, I'd like to help in any way I can." After thinking for a moment, Sarah slowly began to speak. "You know I told you I'm divorced, right? Well, my ex-husband secretly made me a co-signer on his loans and then disappeared with the debt. I've been struggling to pay it off ever since, and it's made life incredibly hard. Each month I tried reaching out to his family and friends, but no one knows where he is. I've been at a complete loss, but I had to keep going for Hannah's sake. That's why I've always believed being serious was the most important thing, because I watched how irresponsible my ex was. Hearing how difficult her life had been made my heart ache. I realized how much she had been enduring all this time while working so hard. My ex was addicted to gambling. Any money he earned, he blew it all instead of supporting us. The debt just kept piling up. Eventually, he even tried to take the money I'd saved for household expenses. No matter what I said, he wouldn't listen. I couldn't bring myself to divorce him, though, because he's Hannah's father. But one day, Hannah said to me, "Mom, I don't have a dad. He never plays with me, and when I see him, he just yells at me. I only want to be with you, Mom. Just the two of us. Please, please divorce him." That gave me the courage to finally leave him, but I never thought I'd still be haunted by him after the divorce. As Sarah recounted the awful details of her ex-husband's behavior, I felt a wave of anger rise up inside me. Thinking about how Hannah must have felt when she said those words to her mom filled me with sorrow. I looked at Sarah and said, "Sarah, is there any way I can help you outside of work?" But she drew a line, saying, "I don't want to trouble you any more than I already have, Chris." At that moment, I remembered Hannah's small, trembling hand. She was so worried about her mother that her hand was cold. That's why I truly wanted to help both Sarah and Hannah. I felt a deep ache in my heart, but resolved that I wouldn't give up. One day, Sarah said to me, "Chris, I want to thank you for everything you've done. If you're free, could you come over this weekend? Hannah really wants to thank you too." Her unexpected invitation filled me with excitement. I never imagined I'd have this kind of opportunity. I'm sure it was Hannah who made this happen. I felt genuinely grateful to her. On the weekend, when I rang the doorbell at Sarah's house, a cute voice responded. Hannah opened the door and said, "Chris, thank you so much for the other day. Come on in." She took my hand with hers, her small one, guiding me inside. "Mom's cooking right now, so just wait a bit, okay?" "Sure," I said, smiling. "I made you a letter and a drawing, Chris. Here you go," Hannah said, handing them to me. The letter was in a cute envelope, and on the front, in her handwriting, it said, "To Chris." I could tell she must have worked really hard on it. Hannah, looking a bit shy, added, "Read it when you get home, okay?" The drawing she gave me had her in the middle, holding hands with both me and Sarah. "Hannah, you're really good," I complimented her, and she beamed with joy. Just then, Sarah said, "Chris, welcome. Thank you again for everything the other day. I was thinking we could go out to a restaurant, but I'm sorry, I hope this is okay instead." She motioned to the table, which was filled with freshly cooked dishes. "Please eat as much as you like." As I enjoyed the meal, I said, "Sarah, this is really delicious," savoring her homemade food. I once again asked, "Please let me know if there's anything I can help with," but she firmly replied, "We're just co-workers. I really appreciate everything you did, but this and that are different matters." Despite her gratitude, Sarah was determined to maintain some distance between us. Meanwhile, Hannah had grown attached to me and even started saying, "Chris, you're like a dad." Her words caught me off guard every time. Every time I thought about Hannah, I remembered her small, trembling hand. I truly wanted to protect and support that little hand. When I got home, I immediately opened Hannah's letter. It read, "Dear Chris, thank you for coming when my mom collapsed. Thank you for holding my hand all the way to the hospital. I'm really glad you were there, Chris, because you came so quickly. My mom was saved. Please keep taking care of her from now on." It looked like she had just learned some spellings, as the word hospital seemed a bit difficult for her to write, but her feelings shone through in every word. I found myself reading the letter over and over again, but the words started to blur. I realized I was crying. "Hannah, thank you for such a beautiful letter," I whispered. At that moment, I made a renewed vow to help both of them, even if my feelings went unreturned. It didn't matter. I just wanted to help them because I wanted them to keep smiling always. Around that time, my boss Tyler began plotting against Sarah out of jealousy for her success. "She's just a divorced woman, and yet she keeps landing all these contracts," I heard him say. "I heard from a private investigator that she's stuck with her ex-husband's debt. No way I'm going to let her keep doing whatever she wants. Just wait and see," Tyler added with a sly smile. This was later revealed by a senior member of the sales team who had been under his command. Tyler began spreading malicious rumors by exploiting Sarah's personal issues. "Have you heard about Sarah?" "Yeah, I heard she's got a huge debt. They say that's why she's using her charms to close deals. I didn't think she was like that. Kind of disappointing, right?" One of the team members said, "I used to look up to her as a strong career woman. Maybe that's why her marriage fell apart. Her husband couldn't handle it." "I wouldn't want a wife like that either," another person added. The sales team was full of whispers. Gossip, once started, tends to snowball in all the wrong directions. "Did you hear that the recent contract was originally Tyler's, but the client requested Sarah instead? Apparently, she used her charm to win him over. Is it really worth going that far just to land a contract?" "Well, she's divorced and in debt, so maybe she needs to do that to survive." "It's awful, isn't it? Maybe being divorced has made her desperate." The rumors were relentless. Of course, this eventually reached Sarah. "Sarah, don't pay attention to those rumors," I said. "Thank you, Chris," she replied weakly, but I could tell she was becoming increasingly isolated at work. The stress weighed heavily on her, though she maintained a calm facade. I could tell Sarah was nearing her breaking point. Knowing that she had collapsed before, I was constantly worried about her. I vowed to protect both Sarah and Hannah, becoming even more cautious of Tyler's schemes. I decided to gather evidence to expose Tyler's plot to bring Sarah down, but his schemes were clever and finding solid proof wasn't easy. With little progress to show for my efforts, I thought, asterisk, there's got to be evidence somewhere. I won't give up until I find it, asterisk. Amidst all this, Hannah suddenly showed up at my office, catching me off guard. "Hannah, what are you doing here?" I asked, surprised. "Mom hasn't been herself lately," she said, her voice tinged with concern. "She seems really troubled. She's been talking in her sleep, saying things like, 'It wasn't me who took out the loan.' Why won't anyone believe me? I think someone at work is saying that about her, so I came to explain. I don't want her to suffer any more because of that awful person." I understood how she felt, but I was worried. "I understand how you feel, Hannah, but I don't think that's a good idea." "Why not?" she asked, her big eyes searching mine. "If you speak up, people might say your mom is using you, and that could hurt her even more." "But what should I do then?" she asked, tears welling in her eyes. Her pure-hearted concern moved me deeply. The truth is, I was raised by a single parent too, and there was no way I could stand by and leave Hannah, also being raised by just one parent, without doing something. "Hannah, I have an idea." "What is it?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "You love your mom, right?" "Yeah, I love her so much," Hannah said with a big carefree smile. "How about we work together to protect your mom?" "With you, Chris." "Yes, with me. But this has to be our secret. Do you think you can keep it?" "I can keep the promise with you," she said with determination. And so Hannah and I formed a secret alliance. I started thinking of ways to support Sarah more effectively. I threw myself into my work even harder and began to consistently improve my sales performance. Man, Chris has been on fire lately. He used to rank below me, but now he's totally surpassed me, and I can't even catch up. One of my colleagues said, "Yeah, he was always serious, but his numbers were never that great. I guess all that dedication is finally paying off." My efforts started gaining attention within the company, and my reputation grew. At the same time, I discreetly reached out to Tyler's clients, trying to catch any signs of his wrongdoing. Eventually, I discovered that Tyler had been involved in shady deals with one of his clients, Matthew. I began monitoring Tyler's actions, both inside and outside the company, preparing to expose his misconduct. Meanwhile, I knew I couldn't forget to be there for Sarah, who was still feeling isolated at work. One day, I finally obtained proof that Tyler and Matthew had been inflating invoices for fraudulent claims. Armed with this critical evidence, I headed to the company's higher-ups. "Excuse me, I'm Chris from sales." "Ah, yes, we've been expecting you. So what's this about?" "Are you aware that Tyler from the sales department has been colluding with a client, Matthew, to inflate invoices and defraud the company?" I revealed Tyler's scheme to the executives. "What? Please take a look at this data. This is undeniable proof." I handed them the documents. "Call Tyler in here immediately." Tyler was summoned to the office in a hurry. "Tyler, what's the meaning of this? Explain yourself." The moment he saw the data, fear washed over his face. "Oh, well, this is," he fumbled, unable to explain himself. The shock left him without a defense. To think someone in this company would stoop so low. This is a serious blow to our reputation. Do you understand the gravity of this situation? You will face severe consequences. Prepare yourself." Tyler collapsed on the spot, realizing the gravity of his downfall. News of the incident spread quickly throughout the company. Did you hear about Tyler? Unbelievable, right? It's true. And Tyler was just jealous of Sarah and spread all those lies about her. So we were just dancing to Tyler's tune without realizing it. We really wronged Sarah. Yeah, Tyler lost all credibility in the company and left before any formal punishment could be handed down. Sarah, I'm so sorry we believed everything Tyler said and ended up doubting you. It's true that I have debt, but I've never used my looks to land deals. Of course, I always aim to build good relationships with clients, but that's just being professional. Sarah gave a little chuckle. Sarah, from now on, be careful not to believe rumors so easily, okay? It's disrespectful to the clients as well. Thank you so much. After that incident, Sarah gradually regained her standing in the company. Chris, thank you. It's all thanks to you. Oh, I didn't really do that much. Don't be so modest. If it weren't for you, I might have had to leave the company. She said this with a fresh, relieved smile. From that moment on, I felt that our bond was growing even deeper. As I achieved success in the company, I also renewed my resolve to continue supporting both Sarah and Hannah. Sarah thanked me again by cooking a homemade meal. Hannah whispered in my ear, I'm keeping her a secret, Chris. What? What are you talking about with Chris? I just thanked Chris for helping my mom, Hannah said playfully. She was becoming more attached to me, and I felt that the bond between the three of us was getting even stronger. At some point, Sarah began to realize how much I meant to her. She later told me this. We started helping each other both in our professional lives and personally. One day, I told Sarah, I want to build a future with you and Hannah. Let's get married. Chris, that day I realized how irreplaceable you are to me. But I'm a divorced single mom, and yet you still want to be with me and Hannah. Thank you. Sarah was deeply moved by my words and decided to take that step forward with me. Hannah was our little Cupid. If it weren't for her, I don't think I would have gotten this close to Sarah. Finally, I was able to hold that small hand of Hannah's. Hannah, the picture you drew has come true. I was once again filled with gratitude for her presence in my life. We had a small wedding, inviting close friends and family. Sarah hesitated since it was her second wedding, but I told her, I want to see you in a wedding dress. I want to see Mom in her dress, too, and I want to wear one, and I want to see Dad in a tuxedo. Hannah, I felt such love for Hannah when she called me Dad, and I hugged her tightly. She whispered excitedly in my ear, our secret promise will keep going. That wedding was only possible because of Hannah. I thought to myself, she really is our little angel. About 6 months after the wedding, I invited Sarah and Hannah to go on a picnic. Growing up with just one parent, I had always dreamed of going on a family picnic like this. Hannah had been looking forward to it for weeks, saying, It's been so long since our last picnic. I'm so excited. I made a vow to always protect Sarah and Hannah, doing everything in my power to keep their smiles bright. Chris, you like this, don't you? You made this for me. Sarah and I exchanged these happy words, and Hannah watched us with a joyful smile. After that, Sarah and I built a relationship where we supported each other, both at work and at home. I continued to achieve great results in sales, becoming her reliable right-hand man. Both Sarah and I earned promotions, and soon people started saying, they're not just a perfect couple, they're the power couple of the sales department. The company's performance kept improving as well. I felt more motivated than ever to keep giving my best. Sometimes people are driven to work hard, even at personal sacrifice, for the sake of someone else. I believe that's what love is. I'm incredibly happy to have shown my love to Sarah and Hannah. In return, Sarah showed me her deepest gratitude and love, and our little angel, Hannah, always gave me the brightest, most joyful smile. I vowed once again to cherish Sarah and Hannah and to build a happy, loving family together.